Hello and welcome to this demonstration of a purchase-to-pay workflow in Sage Intacct for Education. Sage Intacct for Education is very customizable, which means the purchasing workflow can be tailored to each multi-academy trust's specific requirements where required. Today we will look at how to raise purchase requisitions, purchase orders, goods received notes and purchase invoices. Then we'll finish by taking a look at a payment run. We'll start now by looking at how to raise a purchase requisition. So I'm logged in to Sage Intacct for Education as a purchase requisition user called John Smith. John Smith is able to view a purchase requisition dashboard which can display information relevant to a requisitioner in Sage Intacct for Education. So from the requisitioner dashboard, we're able to create a brand new requisition from the dashboard itself. Now, it's important to note that the requisitioner is logged into Sage Intacct via a web browser, and that's because Sage Intacct for Education is a true cloud system, meaning that it is browser-based, so requisitioners, budget holders, finance team members and any user of the system will log in directly through a web browser. This makes it very straightforward and easy for the requisitioners and budget holders to be able to submit transactions through for approval and to also perform the approvals. As you can see, the purchase requisition screen is very straightforward for the requisitioner to complete. I'm going to start by populating the supplier, which in this case I'm going to use YPO. We can amend and change the delivery address if required, and we can also add attachments directly to the requisition by dragging and dropping the file into the system. We can add multiple attachments to the requisition if required, and we can also prompt the requisitioner to make sure they've attached the documentation in case they forgot, so they'll need to check the box. We can now go ahead and enter in what it is we'd like to purchase via the requisition. Now, from the item ID, I'm going to search for an iPad, which will search, in this case, the YPO catalog for the word iPad. Now, we could use multiple catalogs if required in the system, or we could not use a catalog depending on your preference. The team at ION will work with you to understand your requirements when it comes to the purchasing items. So I'm going to choose an iPad, which will pull through the description and the price. Now, John Smith's purchase requisition login has been restricted to only give access to a particular cost centre, in this case PE, and also a particular school, which is Swaledale Academy. John could be given access to more schools and cost centres if we require him to have access. And that's the same with all of the users in Sage Intacct for Education. They can be restricted by cost centre or department and location. So now that we've populated everything there that we need from a requisitioner, I'm going to show you now how we can submit that easily through for approval. So if I click submit, that would submit the transaction through for approval. But before it has, what it's telling me here at the top of the screen is that this particular purchase requisition exceeds the budget limit. And it's advising me to work with the budget holder or the budget administrator to address the overage. So in this scenario, it's warning me, and it will let me proceed to submit the requisition if I need to. However, we could configure this setting to be an error message also, which will prevent the requisition from even being submitted. But I'm going to ignore the warning and submit that through for approval to the budget holder. So that's now in a submitted state, and we're going to now take a look at what the budget holder will see when they need to approve that transaction. So I'm going to swap back in to log in as my user, okay, which I will play the role as the budget holder, and I'm going to navigate to the budget holder dashboard. And when your budget holder logs in, this will be their home page. This is the page they will initially see when they first access the system again via the web browser. The budget holders do also receive email notifications to let them know that there has been a new transaction submitted for their approval. But in this scenario, I'm going to approve directly from the dashboard. As you can see, we are presented with some high-level budget information and some reports that the budget holder will find useful. And again, this can be customized and tailored to be able to show more reporting if required by the trust for the budget holder. So what we'll do is go ahead and approve. But so we are also able to communicate with the requisitioner as well using a tool called Collaborate via the dashboard. If we can then prompt the users to add attachments on documents and things if they have forgotten to do that. So very useful tool there. But we'll look at approving the transaction now. So you can see we have a new transaction for approval from John, which we can click into, and that gives us the approval option in the system. So we can now see everything that was on the requisition, and I'm able to, as the budget holder, now view any attachments and view the costs and the quantities of the particular requisition. One tool that I do have to use to be able to tell what my budget position is something called Spend Insight. And this button is giving me a view for the PE department, for the Swaledale Academy School, and for the General Ledger Account curriculum materials, what my budget, actual and committed costs are, and what we have available to spend. So as you can see, that's why we got the message for the requisitioner saying we were going to be over budget. These fields are drillable, so I can click into the individual sections there to be able to get further into the detail behind the scenes. So as a budget holder, I can see where my budget has been spent. In this scenario, even though we are over budget, I am going to approve. I could decline, but I will approve so we can advance through to the next stage of the workflow, which will be to convert the purchase requisition that has been approved into a purchase order. Now, this would usually be the finance team that would perform this particular task, and they will do that via the purchasing application. So if we navigate into the requisitions, I have a filter for approved requisitions only. I'm then able to convert all of the approved requisitions or individually convert the requisitions into purchase orders. Again, it's pulled through all of the information here that I need. So from the requisition, it has given me the item, the location, the cost center, we have the supplier and all of the information there that we need. But as a finance team member, I do have the ability now to allocate additional analysis fields such as trip or fund if I need to do that at this stage. It's pulled through my attachments, and I also can make use of the Spend Insight button. So if we submit that through, that could go for further approval, just giving me the warning against the budget again. That could go for further approval if required. In this scenario, it won't. It will allow me to now advance through the workflow to the next step, which will be a GRN. So when the goods are received from the purchase order, we can convert that through and update the quantities and prices if required. And then we can convert the GRN through into the invoice. Now the invoice, very straightforward. Again, it is pulled through all of the fields from the requisition. We simply need to specify the invoice number. We can update the prices and the costs if we need them. We can update the values to match the invoice. And we're also able to add an attachment, again, for the actual physical copy of the invoice. I'll post that through, which will now mean it's available for payment via the payment run. Now, at the top level of Sage Intacct for Education, I'm able to do a central payment run, or the payment run can be produced in each individual school if needed. So from the Pay AP Purchase Invoice menu, I'm able to specify which invoice I'm paying or not paying. I can view the details, and I can drill through into the supplier behind into that invoice as well to see the details should I need to look at payment information. We're able to, again, specify the invoices that we're paying. The system will automatically send an automatic payment notification to the supplier once the payment run has been completed, which will effectively let them know what invoices are being paid from the trust, similar to a remittance. And once we've specified Pay Now, we are able then to export a BACS file from the system and upload that directly to the bank for payment.